In the midst of all the crazy turmoil and confusion, both in and out of the sports world, there is the one temporary constant of memedom in the NFL, which in life stands for the National Football League, and in reality stands for not for long. The Washington football team, once known as a name that was and still is considered slang for Native Americans, have been a catalyst for the meme economy and shit posters everywhere. Yet for the reason why points to one name and one name alone. Bruce Allen is a viable candidate here, but I already made a short video on him, and Futurama combined together. Today I present to you Dan Snyder, a man whose name causes the respective team's fanbase to want to either check into a mental hospital or die by disappointment. This man has reserved his VIP ticket into the Hall of Loserdom for not just the NFL, but all sports managers and owners, so much so that he should probably be having an exotic drink with Eugene Melnick in Barbados. Snyder encompasses everything you hate in a general manager, and now he continuously runs the Washington football team into the ground harder than the team defense gets run over by the opposition. If I were to list every single mistake this man has made, the entire list would be roughly the equivalent length of the entire Harry Potter series. This man has become the subject of so much criticism and controversy that trying to find a Washington fan who doesn't actually hate him is like trying to find a black person in Scotland. Whether it's the endless sexual assault allegations and harassment allegations by the cheerleading team, the defamation lawsuits, the dismissal of the concern from Native American groups about the former name of the franchise in the Redskins, or even attempting to purge anyone who criticizes him and speaks the truth about his ongoing disaster of a tenure with the organization. This ignorant, spineless hermaphrodite makes Jerry Jones look like an angel from heaven. His greed for money and monetary assets has caused the Washington fanbase to dream about his execution by guillotine. The Great Recession that lasted 18 months, over a decade ago, caused many people around the world to lose their jobs, and those who still managed to keep their jobs were hit hard, but Snyder could give zero fucks about that. Take real estate agent Pat Hill, for example, who was a die-hard fan of the team, but couldn't afford to make her payments for her expensive seats to games as a result of the housing market crisis in 2008. Snyder could care less and sued Hill, who was barely getting by with what she had.
Why? Why?
Well, apparently not enough, as his list of atrophies is endless. What about the time when after 9/11 he implemented a $4 security surcharge that legitimately did nothing except increase his bank account? Or when he prompted fans to buy quote-unquote commemorative hats of 9/11 for $23.99, which weren't even that special, just black hats with the Redskins R on them and a Pentagon patch. Washington was the only team to sell commemorative 9/11 memorabilia and merchandise, and that money was exclusively for profit. You'd think that the money would go to a charity or a good cause, or at least do something constructive that would help people, but it just flows straight into Snyder's bank account. Just why?
Why?
Let's not forget Dan Snyder's greed for money and his attempts to gouge the fan base for their hard-earned green. After 1 year of taking ownership, he began to charge fees for training camp and practices attending by fans. Once free spectacles now have a cost attributed to them. Oh, and Snyder is also charging money to park at practices as well. $10 for parking and the same amount for watching the team practice. Each. Becoming the first team in NFL history to charge admission fees to practices. Snyder's fear of his corrupted truth being exposed has led him to dominate news coverage of his team, specifically two of the most prominent and popular sports radio stations in Washington, ESPN 980 and Sports Talk 570. Although they are primarily used to broadcast the team's games, he sort of emulates Big Brother from 1984 here, where the totalitarian control over the radio influence is analogous to the party's control over the pros, and control what the media says about him specifically. What about throwing money at has-beens that eventually panned out as well as Antonio Brown with the Saints, or the recurring sexual harassment claims and lawsuits from the cheerleading team, as well as female employees of the organization? What did you expect, that he actually take accountability for his actions? Nah, the only thing he's taking accountability for is his bloated bank account. I'm not even a fan of the Washington football team, but even I detest Snyder for too many reasons to include in this video. Probably because editing is such an annoyance that it makes Kim Kardashian sound and feel like Holy Saint Mother Teresa. The relationship between Snyder and the Washington fanbase has risen to a toxicity level that rivals that of Chernobyl at its worst. He says that he has no interest in selling the team, so the only way that he leaves is if he is brought to court over another stupid allegation or if he suddenly drops dead. If I'm a Washington fan, I probably hope the latter, but sadly, he is in his mid-50s and is going to be around for at least 2 more decades if he doesn't get sacked.
How would you describe the culture surrounding this football team?
You know, the culture is actually damn good.